The year is 1241. A storm of men, horses, and dust thunders across the Hungarian plain, moving as a single entity. A wave of horsemen that seems to defy the laws of warfare, while the sun itself is blotted out by a sky turned dark with arrows. In the heart of this gale, a rider stands in his stirrups, and in one fluid motion, he draws, turns, and releases. An arrow hisses through the air, and a fully armored European knight, a man encased in a fortress of steel, simply vanishes from his saddle. The wave does not stop. It is not even slow. This was the Mongol warrior, the most feared soldier in history and an engine of conquest that shattered empires from the shores of China to the forests of Poland. But this weapon was not born on the battlefield or forged in a smithy. It was created on the harshest place on earth. This is the story of how a boy from the frozen steppe became the terror of the world. His life begins under a vast, merciless sky, born into a world of punishing extremes where summers parch the earth and winters are so brutal they can freeze the lungs. The steppe is not a home. It is his first and most relentless enemy, where survival is not a goal but the only law. His cradle is surrounded by constant, savage warfare, a world where tribes slaughter each other for grazing land and vengeance, and where defeated enemies are disposed of with chilling efficiency. Any male taller than the linchpin of a cartwheel is executed without a second thought. There is no childhood as the settled world knows it, only a brutal apprenticeship for life itself. A Mongol boy learns to ride a horse almost before he can walk, and by age 3, his tiny hands are learning the feel of a bow. By 5, he is on horseback, hunting small game with his and his family's survival, hanging on his growing skill. This is not sport. It is a lesson etched into his very bones that if he does not hunt, he starves, and if he is not strong, he dies. His world is the yurt, a felt yurt that can be disassembled in an hour, a home built for a life of constant motion. His diet is simple and brutally efficient: meat and dairy. He consumes mutton, goat, and the milk from every animal, especially the prized fermented mare's milk known as arog. He learns that animals are life, providing his transportation, his clothes, his shelter, and his food, so that nothing is wasted. Every scrap of meat is boiled, and every part of the animal is used. This diet, packed with protein and fat, forges a body of shocking resilience, able to endure what would destroy men raised on softer foods, because in a world where weakness is a death sentence, unity is the only shield. As he comes of age, his life of survival becomes a life of formal training, though his classroom remains the endless, wind-scoured steppe. His final exam is the Nerge, the Great Hunt, an event that is not just for food, but a massive military exercise, a war game on a colossal scale. Thousands of riders form a circle hundreds of kilometers wide, and for weeks that circle slowly tightens as the sound of drums and shouts drives every living creature, wolves, deer, gazelles, towards the center. His job is to hold the line with absolute discipline, for to let a single panicked animal escape is to break the ring and fail the unit, a failure that invites severe punishment, often death. The Nerge teaches him the art of encirclement, coordinated movement, and relentless pressure, rehearsing the chaos of battle until it becomes pure instinct. He is organized into the decimal system, a unit of 10 Arban, 100 Zuun, 1,000 Mingan, and 10,000 Tumen. His loyalty is not to his old tribe, but to his commander and the other 9 men in his Arban. Genghis Khan broke the old tribal lines to forge a new, unified identity. They are all Mongol. This structure turns the army into a single, disciplined machine, capable of pulling off complex maneuvers with terrifying precision. His tools are extensions of his very body, the first being his horse, a tough, undersized, and seemingly tireless creature. By possessing 3 or 4 mounts and switching between them constantly, he can cover distances that seem impossible to his enemies. traveling up to 100 miles in a single day. His main weapon is a masterpiece of engineering, the Mongol composite bow. Made from layers of sinew, wood, and horn, this small, recurved bow is devastatingly powerful. Its compact size makes it perfect for horseback, allowing him to fire in any direction, forwards, backwards, or even while turning in the saddle, and to send armor-piercing arrows over astonishing distances that far outrange any European longbow. He carries different arrows for different jobs, whistling arrows to signal movements and sow panic, broadheads to shred the flesh of unarmored targets, and heavy bodkin points designed to punch straight through steel plate. Beneath his leather armor, the warrior might wear a simple silk undershirt, not for comfort, but for survival. An arrow that pierces his armor and flesh would often struggle to break the strong, tightly woven silk. Instead, the fabric could wrap around the arrowhead as it entered the wound, allowing a comrade to pull the arrow out with far less tearing of muscle and tissue. It is a simple, brilliant piece of gear that prevents a minor wound from festering and keeps a man in the fight. His first real battle is a scene of organized chaos, where the thunder of thousands of hooves is deafening and the sky goes dark with the first volley of arrows. In this moment, his training takes over completely. He is not a lone warrior seeking glory, but a single cell in a vast killing machine. And he and his squadron fluidly execute the tactics drilled into them during the Nerge. They advance, firing arrows to harass and provoke the enemy, and then they turn and flee. This is the feigned retreat, the signature tactic of the Mongol army. Believing the Mongols are broken, the enemy predictably gives chase in a disorganized mess, abandoning their tight formations as they are led straight into a trap. Just as their lines stretch thin, the trap springs. Hidden wings of Mongol cavalry crash into their flanks, and in an instant, the hunters become the hunted. The warriors' unit wheels around, and what looked like a retreat becomes a fresh attack on an encircled and panicked foe, swarming them with arrows from all sides in a whirlwind of death that never offers a solid target. Life on campaign is an exercise in extreme survival. The warrior lives on boards, dried, powdered meat he can rehydrate into a nourishing soup, and hardened milk curds that last for months. In the most dire situations, when there is no food and no time to hunt, he performs a grim but necessary ritual. A small cut is made in the vein of one of his horses, and he drinks its blood, a life-giving meal that keeps him marching without a stop. The wound is then sealed, and the horse recovers, a testament to the absolute reliance on his animals. But the Mongol is not just a soldier. He's an instrument of psychological warfare, using terror as a deliberate strategy. Before attacking a great city, the armies slaughter the people of smaller nearby villages, sending a wave of terrified refugees to strain the city's resources and spread horrific stories of Mongol brutality. A few survivors are always left from every massacre to carry the tale of what happens to those who resist. The army's reputation marches ahead of it, winning battles before a single arrow is fired. And when a city does resist, the slaughter is unimaginable. The warriors are unleashed, and after the fall of a great city, every soldier might be given a quota of people to kill. Engineers captured from one conquest are forced to build siege weapons to tear down the walls of the next, while other captives are driven forward as human shields, a horrific but effective way to absorb enemy arrows. Resistance is met with annihilation. Surrender is met with subjugation. Those are the only two choices they offer the world. The archer's life might end on a forgotten battlefield in Poland, from disease in the humid south, or in old age, watching the sun set over the great capital at Karakorum. His individual fate, however, remains but a footnote to the epic story of the empire he helped build. From the wake of his conquests arose an unexpected paradox, the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol peace. By uniting a vast landmass from China to Europe under a single, ruthless rule, The very empire he bled for made the road safe for the first time in centuries. The legendary Silk Road flourished under the protection of Mongol law, and it was said that a maiden could walk from one end of the empire to the other with a gold nugget on her head and fear no harm. This newfound security unleashed an incredible exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. Gunpowder, the compass, and printing, once secrets of the East, now traveled west, where they would help ignite the Renaissance in Europe. The world was suddenly connected in a way it had never been before. Yet this connection came at a terrible cost, as the same trade routes that carried silk and spices also carried disease. The Black Death, which would kill tens of millions, spread along the very pathways the Mongol conquests had secured. The Mongol legacy is therefore a paradox of horror and creation. He was an agent of slaughter on a scale the world had never seen, responsible for the deaths of an estimated 40 million people and the erasure of entire civilizations. And yet, through this devastation, he was also the unwitting architect of a more connected world. Looking back across the quiet steppe, he is but one of hundreds of thousands of anonymous archers, a boy forged by the cold, sharpened by the hunt, and unleashed upon the world. The great Mongol Empire was not built by Genghis Khan alone. It was built on the back of this archer's horse, powered by the strength of his bow, and paid for with the blood on his hands. He was the storm, and the world was forever changed by the slaughter he wrought. These deep dives into history's brutal realities demand significant effort. If you value this unfiltered storytelling, please leave a like. It directly supports our mission to uncover facts textbooks ignore, to join our quest for lost history. Subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss our next investigation. We'll see you there.